We are going to talk about the eye. First, let's talk about the orbicularis oculi. These muscles create blinking and closing of the eyelid, not movement of the eyeball. You have the orbital muscles, which are A, B, C, and D. Your preseptal muscles are E and F, and the pretarsals are G and H. The extraocular muscles rotate the eyeball in the orbits and allow the image to be focused at all times on the retina. So there are 6 muscles that are involved in this. Okay, now let's say right here is the nose. Okay, your medial rectus turns the eyeball towards the nose, the lateral rectus turns it towards your ear. Your superior oblique and superior rectus move the eyeball up, and the inferior oblique and inferior rectus move the eyeball down. And you can see using these other muscles, it just moves the eyeball all the way around. All right, now let's talk about the eye itself. There are 3 layers to the eye. The first one is the sclera. Okay. The sclera, is the white portion of the eye. The next layer is the choroid. This contains many blood vessels that supply nutrients to the eye. It's continuous with the iris and the ciliary body on the anterior surface of the eye. Note, the uvea contains the iris, ciliary body, and the choroid. Next we have the retina. This is a thin, delicate nerve layer of the eye. The retina converts light into electrical impulses that are sent to the brain via the optic nerve. Now the fovea centralis is actually located on the retina, and we're going to talk about that in the next slide. This ora serrata, this is a serrated junction between the retina and the ciliary body. Here the retina is firmly attached to the choroid. The next one we're going to talk about is the cornea. This is a clear, round structure that covers the iris and pupil. It focuses rays on the retina. The pupil. This is a circular opening in the middle of the iris. The iris is colored tissue at the front of the eye. Muscles of the iris contract the pupil in bright light and dilate the pupil in dark light. The ciliary body. This secretes aqueous humor. It contains muscles, which are the ciliary muscles, that adjust the shape and thickness of the lens. For distant vision, the lens is flattened, and for close vision, you see a thickening and rounding of the lens. The anterior chamber. This chamber is located behind the cornea. You find aqueous humor, which maintains the shape of the anterior portion of the eye and nourishes structures in that region. Fluid is constantly produced and leaves the eye through a canal that carries it into the bloodstream. The posterior chamber. This is located behind the iris and in front of the lens, and it is filled with aqueous humor. The zonules. These connect the ciliary body to the lens. The zonule of Zinn. These are 2 layers that are known as the suspensory ligaments of the lens. Okay. Now this vitreous body or vitreous chamber is filled with vitreous humor, which is a soft, jelly-like material that maintains the shape of the eyeball. It is not constantly reformed. Okay. Now light passes through the cornea. It bends or refracts the rays of light so they are properly focused on sensitive receptor cells in the posterior portion of the eye, which is avascular. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about are rods and cones. All right, so you see the rods right here in yellow, and then we have the cones right here. The fovea centralis, which is located on the retina, is composed largely of cones and is the location of the sharpest vision of the eye. You want the light to focus on the rods and cones. Rods function at reduced levels of light and are responsible for peripheral vision. It's why we can't see colors in the dark. The cones function in bright levels of light and are responsible for color and central vision. There are 3 types of cones, each stimulated by one of the primary colors of light: red, blue, and green. Now we're going to talk about the optic pathways. Okay. The retina is essentially divided into 2 halves, the left half and the right half. Each half is further subdivided into a nasal half, which is next to the nose, and the temporal half, which is next to the temple. As an image passes through the lens, the image is inverted. Now, the temporal fibers you can see right here, see the temporal on the outside? They do not cross this optic chiasma. Okay? See, these are the temporal on the right eye. But the nasal fibers, the nasal retinal fibers, do cross over. So this is in the left hemisphere, and it crosses over to the right eye. Okay? If the nasal retinal fibers didn't cross, you would lose depth perception. Now, so in the right eye, the nasal retina sees the right side of the world. Okay, so this nasal retina, this is the right eye right here, it sees the right side. And the temporal retina sees the left side of the world. In the left eye, the nasal retina sees the left side of the world, and the temporal retina sees the right side of the world. So the nasal retina of one eye and the temporal retina of the other eye, they see the same thing, and that's called binocular vision.